The first crack appeared on a cold December morning in the mountains of Norway. A group of miners had discovered a chamber deep beneath the earth, a place where no human had ever set foot before. Inside that chamber, they found eggs. These were not ordinary eggs. Each one stood taller than a grown man and glowed with a faint golden light. The miners counted 12 of them arranged in a perfect circle. They called their supervisors. The supervisors called the government. The government called scientists from around the world. Within 48 hours, the discovery became the biggest news story in human history. Every television channel, every website, every newspaper carried the same images. Giant glowing eggs hidden beneath the earth for thousands of years. Scientists could not explain them. Religious leaders called them signs from heaven or warnings from hell. Conspiracy theorists had 1,000 different explanations. But nobody knew the truth. Dr. Sarah Chun was among the first scientists to examine the eggs. She had spent 20 years studying ancient fossils and prehistoric life forms. Nothing in her experience had prepared her for what she saw in that underground chamber. The eggs were warm to the touch. They pulsed with a rhythm that reminded her of a heartbeat. When she pressed her ear against one of them, she could hear something moving inside. The world waited and watched. Governments sent their best military units to guard the site. A research facility was built around the chamber within weeks. Scientists worked day and night trying to understand what they had found. They took samples from the shells. They used every scanning technology available. The results were always the same. These eggs contained living creatures. Creatures that were about to wake up. The first egg cracked on February 14th. Sarah was there when it happened. She heard the sound before she saw it. A sharp splitting noise that echoed through the chamber. Then a piece of shell fell away. Then another. The scientists stepped back. The soldiers raised their weapons. Everyone held their breath. A claw emerged first. It was black as midnight and sharp as any blade. Then came a head with golden eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. The creature pulled itself free from the shell and stretched wings that blocked out the artificial lights above. It was a dragon. A real living dragon standing before him in all its terrible beauty. Sarah could not move. She could not speak. The dragon turned its head and looked directly at her. For a moment their eyes met. She expected to feel fear. Instead, she felt something else entirely. She felt a connection, as if the creature was reaching into her mind and studying her soul. The dragon did not attack. It simply watched them all with those golden eyes. Then it spoke, not with sound, but with thoughts that appeared directly in their minds. The voice was ancient and powerful. The creature said that its kind had slept beneath the earth for 10,000 years. They had been waiting for the world to change. They had been waiting for humanity to rise. Now the time had come for both species to meet. Within hours, the other eggs began to crack. 12 dragons emerged from their ancient sleep. Each one was different in color and size. Some were red as fire. Others were blue as the deepest ocean. One was pure white like fresh snow. But all of them shared those same intelligent eyes. All of them could speak directly into human minds. The world reacted with fear. Governments called emergency meetings. Armies prepared for war. Religious movements declared the end times had arrived. Stock markets crashed. People panicked in the streets. It seemed like civilization itself might collapse under the weight of this impossible reality. But the dragons did not attack. They did not burn cities or demand submission. Instead, they waited. They watched. They observed humanity with the patience of creatures who had lived for thousands of years. General Marcus Torres was put in charge of military operations around the dragon site. He was a veteran of 3 wars. He had faced enemies that most people could not imagine. But standing before these ancient creatures, he felt like a child facing the unknown darkness. His orders were clear. Protect humanity at all costs. Be ready for any threat. The white dragon approached him on the third day. Torres ordered his men to hold their fire. The creature was larger than a house. Its scales gleamed like polished ivory. When it spoke into his mind, the words carried weight and power. The dragon said that long ago, its kind had ruled the earth. They had watched the first humans crawl from caves and discover fire. They had seen empires rise and fall. They had witnessed every war, every plague, every triumph of the human spirit. And they had chosen to sleep, to wait, to see what humanity would become. Torres asked why. Why sleep for 10,000 years? Why wake now? The dragon answered that there was a greater threat coming, something from beyond the stars, something that had destroyed countless worlds across the universe. The dragons alone could not stop it, but together with humanity, there might be hope. Sarah spent every waking hour studying the dragons. She learned that each one had a name as old as human language itself. The white dragon was called Ether. The largest red dragon was named Paraxis. The blue dragon with scales like ocean waves was Thalassa. They remembered everything. Every moment of the 10,000 years before their sleep. Every secret of the ancient world. Ether allowed Sarah into his memories. She saw the world as it had been. Vast forests covering every continent. Animals that had long gone extinct walking the earth. And she saw the reason the dragons had slept. A vision of the future. A warning from beyond the stars. The threat was called the Void Swarm. Creatures of pure darkness that traveled between galaxies, consuming all life they encountered. They had destroyed billions of worlds. They had ended civilizations far more advanced than humanity. And they were coming to Earth. The dragons had seen this future 10,000 years ago. They knew they could not defeat the Void Swarm alone. They needed partners, allies, a species that was clever, adaptable, and brave. They chose humanity. They waited and watched as humans grew from primitive tribes to a civilization that could reach the stars. Now the time had come to face the darkness together. General Torres called a meeting of world leaders. For the first time in history, every nation agreed to work together. The threat was too great for old rivalries. The dragons shared their knowledge freely. They taught humans how to build weapons that could harm the void creatures. They revealed secrets of energy and matter that human scientists had never imagined. Factories around the world began producing new technology, ships that could travel faster than light, weapons powered by dragon fire, shields that could block the darkness itself. Humanity was preparing for war on a scale never before seen. 6 months after the dragons awakened, the first Void Scouts appeared in the solar system. They were shapeless masses of shadow that consumed light itself. Earth satellites detected them near Jupiter. The message was clear. The enemy had arrived. Sarah stood on the deck of the first human starship, the vessel named Unity. Beside her, Ether stretched his massive wings. Around them, a fleet of 300 ships waited for orders. Human pilots sat beside dragon riders. Scientists worked with ancient beings. Two species that had never met before now stood together against the darkness. General Torres commanded the fleet from the Bridge of Unity. His voice was calm and steady as he gave the order to engage. The ships surged forward. Dragons flew through the vacuum of space, their fire burning even without air. Humans fought with courage that surprised even their ancient allies. The first battle lasted 9 hours. The void creatures were terrible beyond imagination. They absorbed weapon fire. They corrupted technology with their touch. They consumed ships and soldiers without mercy. But humanity did not retreat. When one pilot fell, another took their place. When one ship was destroyed, 2 more pressed the attack. Ether led the dragon assault on the largest void entity. His fire burned with the heat of a star. Around him, the other 11 dragons roared their defiance. Sarah watched from Unity's observation deck as ancient and modern power combined. Dragons and humans fighting side by side. The battle ended when Paraxis sacrificed himself to destroy the Void Command entity. His fire burned so hot that it created a temporary sun in the darkness of space. The explosion consumed thousands of void creatures. The remaining enemy fled back into the darkness between stars. Earth had survived the first attack, but everyone knew more would come. The war had only just begun. In the months that followed, humanity changed forever. Dragons became part of everyday life. They shared their wisdom in universities. They helped rebuild damaged cities. Young humans discovered they could bond with dragon hatchlings, creating partnerships that made both species stronger. Sarah became the first official ambassador between humans and dragons. She spent her days translating ancient dragon knowledge into forms humans could understand. She helped build bridges between two civilizations separated by 10,000 years. General Torres led the formation of the Earth Defense Force, a unified military that combined human technology with dragon power. Soldiers from every nation trained together. Old enemies became allies in the face of cosmic threat. The Void Swarm attacked again and again. Each time, the allied forces of Earth pushed them back. Each battle cost lives, both human and dragon. But each victory proved something important. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not break. Together with their ancient allies, they would fight until the stars themselves went dark. 5 years after the eggs first cracked, Earth was no longer just one world among billions. It was a fortress, a beacon of resistance in a universe threatened by darkness. Humans who had once fought each other over land and resources now stood united against an enemy that wanted to consume all life. Ether often spoke to Sarah about what the dragons had hoped for when they chose to sleep and wait. They had dreamed of finding a species worthy of partnership. They had hoped to find beings with courage, creativity, and heart. In humanity, they found all of that and more. They found a people who would never give up, never surrender, never stop fighting for their home. The world had indeed changed forever. But change was not always something to fear. Sometimes change was the beginning of something greater than anyone could have imagined. Dragons and humans, ancient power and modern courage, standing together against the endless dark. The universe had tried to extinguish Earth's light. It had failed. And in the cold reaches of space, word began to spread. There was a world that had dragons. There was a world that had humans. There was a world that refused to die.